Good afternoon. This is Jane Tillman Irving, welcoming you once again to Simon Studio Presents on National Public Radio Playhouse. Today, from the Manhattan School of Music's John C. Borden Auditorium, we present the world premiere live performance of Sarah Levine-Simon's Bernardo's Farewell, a family radio play for actors and orchestra. Produced by Roger Hendricks Simon and the Manhattan School of Music, and directed by Mr. Simon, our cast is Ms. Tova Feldshuh, Mr. Joe Bevilacqua, and Mr. Simon, and features cellist Michael Carrera and the Manhattan Chamber Sinfonia, conducted by Glenn Cortese. Our sound and recording engineer is Louis Brown, and our stage manager is Tyler Learned. And now, Sarah Levine-Simon's Bernardo's Farewell.
Bernardo first saw Gloriosa in the corner of an old instrument shop in Cremona. Her case was ragged, and her bow needed to be rehaired. She hadn't been played in almost a century. Oh, Gloriosa was a very neglected and lonely cello. Bernardo recognized the stamp of the great instrument maker Stradivarius on her belly, and, captivated by her Cremona curve, he bought Gloriosa and had her repaired. Well, from that moment on, it was Bernardo and Gloriosa, Gloriosa and Bernardo. Bernardo always accorded Gloriosa the very best. They played in all the great halls of the world with velvet seats and chandeliers. They played quartets in Milan, concertos in Coventry, Bach in Bakersfield, all to great acclaim. And wherever they traveled, large posters went up with Bernardo's imposing picture, his name and what he was going to play. Sometimes Bernardo and Gloriosa woke up in one city and went to bed in another.
I dressed for the sun this morning,
Bernardo thought, waving a palm leaf he had picked up in Florida that morning at the flakes of snow beginning to accumulate on his overcoat.
Munich is very cold.
Bernardo stood next to a larger-than-life poster of himself looking fondly at Gloriosa. They had come to Munich to give a concert that evening. Gloriosa was especially looking forward to this concert. The hall in Munich was her very favorite because it was here that she and Bernardo played with an orchestra for the very first time. And they had, ever since, they had played the very same piece by Dvorak.
We played our very first concert here on this very date. Tonight is our orchestra anniversary, Bernardo. We must celebrate. And in 5 Thursdays...
Oh, what Gloriosa was really thinking was that in 5 Thursdays she would be 200 years old. Gloriosa had been counting Thursdays all year and marking them off on her calendar. Bernardo hadn't said anything about it, and Gloriosa was hoping that Bernardo was planning a very special surprise for the occasion.
We have quite a full agenda, do we not, Bernardo?
Gloriosa hinted. But Bernardo only shrugged his shoulders. For the first time in his entire life, Bernardo didn't feel like having a full agenda. He didn't feel like playing. In fact, he didn't feel like doing anything. And he didn't know what to say to Gloriosa about that.
I don't know if I want to play with the orchestra tonight.
Well, what if I want to?
And how can a cello play with an orchestra all by herself?
Gloriosa stifled a sob and mopped a tear and turned away hurt.
What has gotten her all strung out?
He thought, thinking over thoughts, thinking other thoughts, thoughts that concerned only himself. And in truth, he was so concerned with his own thoughts, he had forgotten that Gloriosa was about to turn 205 Thursdays.
Wouldn't it be nice to...
Oh, you didn't forget.
Bernardo looked at her strangely.
Forget?
Sir, can you sign my autograph? Suddenly, they were interrupted by a group of autograph seekers who grabbed at Bernardo's coat. He started to turn away. It was Gloriosa who smiled and nudged Bernardo.
These are your fans and your admirers, Bernardo.
Oh, if she could have, she would have signed the autographs herself. Be light, me first. Not me first, sir. No, I was in front of you. Me first. Bernardo signed 349 autographs.
As I was saying, I'm glad you didn't forget.
Forget? I can't think what I have forgotten something.
He must be really planning something unusual to go to such lengths to hide it from me.
She smiled at Bernardo.
Well, dear.
Bernardo! Hey, Bernardo! There were people. And more people. Bernardo! Asking for advice.
If only Jimmy could make such magical mellifluous sounds. Oh, Senor Bernardo, could you please show us how?
Other people were always telling Bernardo what to do. Conductors, for instance. No, not that way, Bernardo. No, take it again from measure 170, and this time try to play it a bit faster. The maestro spoke in a most commanding voice when he wasn't conducting. His orchestra, the Manhattan Chamber Symphonia, was exultantly applauded all over the world. Bernardo yawned and repeated the passage dutifully, bowing even more slowly. Even Gloriosa started to yawn.
I think maybe Maestro is right about the tempo, Bernardo.
Gloriosa whispered timidly.
We used to play it faster.
It says allegretto, not larghetto. You'll turn Ravel's most glorious piece into a dirge, Bernardo. Bernardo played the passage again, even slower. No. Where is your heart and soul?
Oh, that's just it. I've lost them.
Nonsense. Now, let's take it again, please. No, please. And again. This time, for spite, Bernardo played the passage twice as fast, leaving the orchestra behind in a mad cacophony of sound. No, please. Maestro Harmony hammered his baton on the podium and stomped so hard that his foot went through the block on which he stood. The concertmaster and the principal violist had to help extricate it. The moment rehearsal with the orchestra finished, Impresario Manfredo, the person who arranged everything, whisked Bernardo off to lunch.
I must see to it that you eat properly. You look pale.
I quite agree.
The plane ride was so bumpy. I didn't get a chance to nap. And I don't remember where I left my heart and soul. Otherwise, I'm just fine.
The impresario soon had 3 waiters putting dishes filled with rare delicacies in front of Bernardo. Bernardo just sat forlornly and yawned.
Oh, perhaps I have lost my appetite along with my heart and soul.
Gloriosa looked fondly at her beloved Bernardo.
Dear, try the grilled radicchio. It will have a tonic effect.
Oh, I am a weary man. Sleep, you know, is the best tonic.
But Bernardo, aren't you forgetting?
We need to rest.
Well, speak for yourself. I would like to stay and dine.
But Bernardo had his way and returned to his suite at the Europa Hotel. So tired was Bernardo, he forgot to let Gloriosa out of her case and left her standing in it by the entrance door.
He has never done anything like that before.
She thought, and to Bernardo she said,
Aren't we going to rehearse some more?
No, Gloriosa. I have some thinking to do. I have to find my heart and soul.
Your heart and soul?
The trouble is, I don't know where to look.
Well, I'll help you look for them.
But you are only a cello.
Indeed I am.
It can wait until later. I need to think and sleep a bit.
And Bernardo removed his socks and shoes and tiptoed over to the great bed that once slept a king. At 5 o'clock, Bernardo was still sleeping, and Gloriosa still standing by the front door. She called to him impatiently in a voice muffled by the plush lining of her case.
Come in, Bernardo. We rehearse with the orchestra at 6 sharp. And remember, Bernardo, you need time to look for your heart and soul.
She admonished, managing a little muffled resonance from within her case. Bernardo woke with a start, thinking she had fallen. By now, Gloriosa was furious. But Bernardo was too sleepy to notice. Seeing that she still stood, his head fell back to the pillow. He felt so lazy. The valet knocked on the door at 5:51. He had Bernardo's pressed tails and a cummerbund, but Bernardo still couldn't rouse himself. Sir, your tails and cummerbund.
Leave them outside my door, if you don't mind.
On the doorknob?
If you please.
Bernardo! It's getting late! Let me out of here!
But Bernardo ignored Gloriosa and fell back to sleep. He dreamed about a little house in the country. He and Gloriosa played music from morning to night. No one argued about tempos or told him when to eat rich meals. And when he was hungry, Bernardo plucked asparagus from fresh lettuce from a little garden right outside of his kitchen door and chatted with his friendly neighbors who had no idea that a famous cellist was in their midst. No one could tell him what to do. He played to little birds while butterflies fluttered and bumblebees buzzed over blooming prize roses, and they answered him, and they answered his songs with musical sounds of their own.
I think I know where I can find my heart and soul.
Bernardo muttered in his sleep as he dreamed. Bernardo's beautiful dream was rudely interrupted by a loud pounding and shouting. The impresario was banging on the door of his suite.
Bernardo! The entire orchestra is waiting! The audience is arriving! The maestro is seething!
And there's no time to tune me or to rosin my bow!
Wailed Gloriosa. Bernardo was hurriedly dressed in his tails and cummerbund, whisked away in a shiny black limousine to the concert hall, and pushed onto the stage, protesting by the impresario Manfredo as the impatient audience roared with applause. Bravo!
No, I can't play without my heart and soul!
His words were lost over the roar, and then, before he knew it, the maestro raised his baton, and the music began. Ironically, even without his heart and soul, Bernardo captured the hearts of everyone. No one in the audience realized that his heart and soul were missing. Gloriosa beamed proudly at Bernardo.
Oh, Bernardo, we are wonderful.
We are not wonderful. I am playing without my heart and soul.
But together we make such.
Bernardo turned away from Gloriosa and she sighed. Well, after the autographs were signed and all the hugging and kissing, Bernardo wearily picked up Gloriosa.
Now it's time to sleep.
Sleep? But Bernardo!
No!
Said the impresario.
For dinner! Let us go! After such a concert, one must celebrate!
And so once again, the tired Bernardo was whisked off in Manfredo's long limousine.
Well, just a light bite to eat at a little out-of-the-way place.
Just a bite, Bernardo. What can be the harm, after all? Maybe the festivities will remind him.
The impresario Manfredo gave such a magnificent party. He invited kings and queens, counts and countesses, presidents and senators, divas and devotees. And after they all dined on oysters, foie gras, various crustacea, custards, and conserves and made 100 toasts, Bernardo rose. And he spoke to all the kings, queens, counts, countesses, presidents, senators, divas, and devotees.
I appreciate your faithful acclaim. I have loved playing for you, but I am a tired man. And it is time for Gloriosa and I to make a change. I dreamed this afternoon about a little house in the country. To it, I must retire. And so, I bid you all farewell.
And he picked up his beloved Gloriosa.
Let's go.
The dignified guests were all stunned. They clamored. Gloriosa protested too.
You're making a terrible mistake.
You're crazy, Bernardo!
Bernardo heard none of it and humbly began to leave.
Someone do something!
I'll let you take any tempos you like.
This is a monumental decision, Gloriosa! Talk to him!
And talk to him she did. All night long she harangued.
May I remind you, Bernardo, that you are luckier than most. Who has such a gift? Who lives such a life? And are you going to throw it all away? Mark my words, Bernardo, you will regret regret this.
No one can change my mind, not even you, Gloriosa. I need to find my heart and soul.
And whatever makes you think they are somewhere else.
They are not here, that's plain to see.
Bernardo and Gloriosa returned to a little town in the country where the great cellist was born. They found a tiny cottage in a clearing in some woods, and the next day, Bernardo awoke to the sound of hummingbirds, chirping birds, buzzing bees.
Oh, there is music in the world besides my own music, but these little creatures, they sing only one song. Perhaps they would like to hear something new. I'll give those little creatures a treat. They have probably never heard a great cellist play.
Gloriosa looked dubious, but she was encouraged by Bernardo's buoyant spirits.
Yes, dear, you're probably right.
Bernardo rosined Gloriosa's bow and tuned her strings. And thought how beautiful Gloriosa sounded this morning. And Bernardo played for them from Bach's G major prelude. And the little birds and creatures paid him no mind. For whenever Bernardo paused, they were still singing their song as they'd done all along and before.
It is important to learn how to listen to great music. Maybe Bach is too sophisticated.
Bernardo and Gloriosa serenaded the birds with Rachmaninoff's vocalese. They continued to play until by the end of the day they had played all the pieces written for the cello alone. And the little creatures each continued to sing its own song, oblivious that a great cellist and his cello were in their midst.
A Rachmaninoff should get their attention.
Or maybe it will put them to sleep.
Put them to sleep, it did not. Oh, they continued to sing, and Bernardo could not sleep at all.
Bernardo, I was thinking of the red velvet curtains in the room at the Europa Hotel in Leningrad. I thought that maybe
Hush,
for my...
Gloriosa.
But you're not sleeping anyway, Bernardo.
Yes, but I'm trying.
Bernardo fell into a weary sleep as the gray light of dawn streaked the sky. But when Bernardo woke up sometime around noon, the sound of the birds, the bees, and the crickets still filled the air. Bernardo was beside himself.
Oh, the birds and crickets make their own music. It has no beginning and no end. They must play while I play, for whenever I pause, it is they who are always there. They pay me no attention at all. They pay no attention to my beautiful, lush sounds. What I need is an audience to hear me play. Oh, but how can I fit an audience into this house? A piano could hardly fit in this living room. And I might need a violin. Even a whole orchestra,
thought Bernardo as a cawing sound filled his ears. At first, he thought that his phone was off the hook. But then he noticed two crows aloft and a light on his front lawn. Bernardo shooed them away. And for want of a better scarecrow, he put a hat on Gloriosa and put her out on the front lawn and played furiously. Well, the crows were not afraid of Gloriosa, and they cawed loudly at the cellist and his ancient cello. They too had a song to sing. And soon a horse neighed in answer to the cawing of the crows, and the cows mooed. And all the while the birds and crickets kept up their song, and Bernardo had to play himself alone.
Oh, these creatures don't care about me.
He thought about the dressing rooms at the great halls where he was helped with his tails and tuxedos. And he thought about the conductors and the impresario Manfredo who arranged everything.
I'll call Manfredo and let him arrange an audience for me. Just one more.
Leaving Gloriosa standing out on the lawn to scare away the crows, Bernardo ran inside to telephone Manfredo.
I cannot talk to you right now, Bernardo. I am off to Vienna with a marvelous young protege I found in Uzbekistan. Do you think you'd consider selling Glorioso to him?
Bernardo hung up the phone.
He has forgotten all about me already. Sell him Gloriosa? Never. Never!
For the next hour, Bernardo fumed and stomped around the room. He made calls to several other impresarios, but they too were busy. And then Bernardo heard a wail and the patter of raindrops. He realized it was raining. Thunder rolled and lightning struck.
What have I done? Oh, I've left my beautiful cello out in the rain. Why, she's almost...
Suddenly, Bernardo remembered that Gloriosa was almost 200 years old, and he ran outside to the lawn to see poor Gloriosa standing there helpless and drenched.
My wood veneer is beginning to buckle and bulge.
He brought poor Gloriosa inside and wrapped her in blankets. She was so weak.
Help! Help!
Her string had broken, calling for help. Bernardo laid his head upon her and cried and cried.
Oh, Gloriosa, don't die. No, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what I've done to you. Please get well, Gloriosa.
Gloriosa could only cough weakly.
My bridge has come loose, and the broken string is killing me.
I will call the best cello maker in the entire world. I will make you well again, Gloriosa.
It's too late.
No, don't say that.
Gloriosa tried to smile through her tears.
And I promise you, you will be well enough to play for a real audience in no time at all.
Hope so.
Bernardo called the cello maker in Cremona, the one who had repaired Gloriosa when Bernardo had found her in the old instrument shop so many years ago. The cello maker packed his toolkit and flew to Gloriosa's side.
Geppetto!
Bernardo paced the floor all day while the cello maker Geppetto worked on Gloriosa in the next room. Oh, sorry. Here. Oh, dear. There. Oh. There. Well, when the cello maker finally emerged, Bernardo rushed into the room.
She's a very lucky cello indeed.
Yes, I am.
If you hadn't suddenly remembered, all would have been lost. You see, her glue needs to dry, and tomorrow she'll be fit as a fiddle. Yeah, I mean, cello.
Right.
Well, whatever were you doing on the front lawn with Gloriosa in the first place?
Yes, Bernardo.
You see, I was trying to find my heart and soul.
Bernardo was too ashamed to try and explain it to the cello maker, but the cello maker understood.
Well, I think they're right here.
With a cello, one never has to look very far. And Bernardo smiled fondly at Gloriosa.
Is it in 4 Thursdays that we'll have something special to celebrate?
Oh, Bernardo, you remembered.
Your birthday.
I knew you would. I knew you would.
Gloriosa smiled joyfully at Bernardo. And for the next 4 weeks, Bernardo busied himself making all the arrangements. First, he ordered a large tent, large enough to hold an entire audience. And then he ordered a stage. And for the stage, he ordered many chairs, music stands, and a piano. To fill the stage, he called Maestro Harmony to bring his orchestra from Munich. To fill the audience, Bernardo sold tickets. And people came from all around to hear the great cellist and the great orchestra. And that night, it started once again to rain. But Gloriosa, Bernardo, the maestro, the orchestra, and the audience all stayed dry in the enormous tent as they listened.